Good morning, it's 9:30 on a lovely July morning, very still, quite misty and hazy, but it's supposed to clear up later. Today I'm cycling up Glen Almond in Perthshire. Glen Almond is a very long glen, it must be well over 20 miles long. It stretches practically all the way from Perth, just west of Perth, almost all the way to Loch Tay. It's a glen that I've delved into from either end, but I've never actually been all the way through because it's either too linear a route for walking or it's a bit too far for my poor knackered feet. So I thought a bike ride today on a very, very still day, what a perfect thing to do. Right, by all accounts from here, from this lay-by, it's 27 kilometres or 16 miles or so to Loch Tay. I'm not going quite that far. I'm going about as far as the glen goes to its highest before it drops down to Loch Tay. That's about enough for me. I don't know whether I'll even get that far, but we'll see. This is actually the first time I've put the bike in the car and driven anywhere. I've been meaning to do a bike and hike for a long time, and I always thought that getting a bike would be a good way of getting into the heart of the Cairngorms and places like that. Places which are a bit beyond walking in and out in a day. A bit like this glen really. But I might do a hike today if I get as far as there's a hill called the She of Ardtalmeg, which overlooks Loch Tay on the other side. If I can get there, I might go up and down that depending on time and get to do my first bike and hike. Well, this is something quite ancient, standing stone, which from its position here you'd think it was the only one, but it was actually one of four. Something, I think in the anthropological circles it's called a four-poster or something, but anyway it would have been one of these opposite another one and then two somewhere else. I don't know if they were done for ceremonial purposes or what, but this one apparently they found evidence of burning. They found charcoal and wood in the centre of where the stone circle would have been. There's quite a few of these dotted around Perthshire, but it's supposed to date from around 2,000 to 3,000 years BC, so 4,000 years ago, which is around about the crossover between the Neolithic period in Scotland and the Bronze Age. Neolithic mean new stone if it's Greek, and Bronze Age, the name given to the period when metal started appearing in tools that people have found in this country. So apparently these would have been farmers. We're beyond the hunter-gatherer stage by now. People have settled, they're clearing woodland, which I suppose was the start of Scotland being cleared by humans. Start of Scotland's deforestation. It started all the way back then. But that's not all there is here, there's more. We also have a long cairn, a burial cairn, which I'm now standing in. All of these rocks, you can see it goes all the way over to where those sheep are over there, in a sort of a whale shape. Enormous massive boulders, presumably from the river, been moved here, and apparently it had 3 or 4 kists, which are burial chambers, of which I think this is probably one actually. You can see how it was flanked on each side with sort of uprights, and they would have had one of these big slab stone laid over top. And this is all that remains of it now. But again, another 4,000-year-old monument. Apparently would have been in the region of 6 feet high, just covered in stones. It's funny on the one hand how Scotland seems, or the Highlands, just seem so timeless and empty and wild. And I've said a few times on some of these blogs that obviously that wasn't the case because of the highland clearances in the 18th and 19th centuries, but then you can go thousands of years back and these glens have always been inhabited ever since humans have been on the British Isles after the Ice Age, after the ice retreated and cut us off from mainland Europe. There's always been people here. It's getting hot now. God, the sun's coming out quite quickly. Blue sky. And I'm making good, quick time. I'm not actually used to making progress as quick as this, as swift as this. It's, yeah, a bit of a change. Well, I've just stopped on this bridge over a burn just to illustrate how dry it's been recently and what a contrast this weather is to this time last year when Fife had its wettest summer since 1916. It seems that drought could be approaching now. Just look how dry this is. There's nothing in there at all. It's funny, I've heard it's been nudging 28, 29 degrees in Perthshire the last couple of days, and all I've heard back home is folk moaning about how hot it is. And these are the same people who are moaning about how cold the spring was this year and how miserable the winter was, so some people are never happy. Oh, in 2 hours or so, that's the first obstruction I've come across. Run, sheep. Well, the track's getting fainter, a bit rougher, but that's good. Feels more like being out in the thick of it now. Feels a bit wilder, and then since I've been pedalling for a couple of hours now, it does feel quite remote. God, dear, it's hot. Well, that is She of our Tarnweg, and I had half a mind to go up there given half the chance, but we'll see. It's quite hot. And this is pretty much as far as I've been down the glen from the west side, from the side up ahead. There's a ruined bridge just up ahead over the river, as you can see now. Just to the left, that's as far as I've been coming in from the west from Loch Tay. There you go, footpath to Loch Tay. What a lovely spot. Actually, I think I'll stop here on the way back and soak my feet. Oh. And then, out of nowhere, a bothy of sorts, all locked up, so not one for general use. Anyway, it does, however, offer the only shade in the glen. Oh, bliss. Oof. Now I need to ponder, do I want to go up there? Right, well, I've decided I am gonna go up the hill. I've left the bike here in the stell, which this one's still in use actually. Yeah, you can see they've been shearing here recently. Sure. Right, we've done the bike, now let's do the hike. Oh, sure you can hear me panting. Wouldn't want to guess at the temperature, but it did say it was going to be 26, 27 or up today. And the Mountain Weather Service said it could be as high as 18 even on the summits, which is, God, I can't remember the last time that happened. Oh, I must be mad. Oh, it's levelling off now, but it's just being stubborn, being a very sort of gentle last ascent, such that it feels you never getting to the top. Ugh, it's punishing. And I think this is it. Yes, there you go, there's the hills on the other side of Loch Tay. Oh, 1,000 feet later. Oh, God. Oof. Sadly, because this hill's a big long ridge, you can't actually see the loch. So I'll just go along a bit and hopefully get a glimpse. Well, the ridge goes on a fair bit more over there. Just see the loch peeping through there, but that would be Loch Tay all the way along there. That's Ben Law's in the clouds over here. I won't go all the way to the end of the ridge. I can say I've seen Loch Tay, so I can say I've at least come from Smar Glen all the way to Loch Tay, even though I've only really just seen it. It kind of counts. I'm happy with that. Oh, it's too hot to be doing anything else. Oh, quick change. Let that dry off. Always bring a spare t-shirt. Dry again. There, and all the way down there is the bothy and the sheep stile where I left my bike. I wrote about these hills last year in an article I wrote called "Let's Take the Sh Out of Perthshire," and it was just saying that this whole tract of land between Loch Earn and Loch Tay, at the end of Glen Almond and Glen Almond, it's an enormous upland area where you can stay high up on these hills all day and you won't see anyone. No one comes here. The only one, Munro, is Ben Honzie, which is there, over there, and people tend to regard that as being a dull hill, and I've always said that the hill's generally as dull or as exciting as the person who's climbing it. So if you like wild places, you like a bit of solitude, and you could do a lot worse than coming to Perthshire, this part of Perthshire. Right. Well, I am going to have a proper sit down, but I'm going to find some shade. I'm going to go back down to the bothy and then have some shade, and then go and dip my feet in the river. I suppose people are drawn to height, and especially that 3,000 foot contour, but there's a lot to be enjoyed here if you just let that go and just go walking for the sake of walking rather than ticking something off a list. There's more wildlife on Auchenfree Hill, which is up there, than I've seen practically on any other hill in Scotland. Easily more mountain hares than I've seen anywhere on any of my walks. Dozens and dozens leaping out from underneath rocks in one go. Incredible profusion of wildlife up there. So it might not have much land over 3,000 foot, but it well, it more than makes up for it in other means. Now it's round about now, usually this point of the walk, when I've been up a hill and I'm about to start the long walk out, that I stop and you watch, you find where the road is, and it's when your heart sinks, because you know you've got to walk for another 2 or 3 hours out. And for years I dismissed the idea of using bikes. I was so much of a purist. I always thought it seemed like cheating, which I know is demented, because if you take it to its logical extremes, anyone could say to me, well, driving from Fife or Edinburgh is cheating. Why don't you just walk from Fife or Edinburgh? And that would be a good point, and it would be well made, and I wouldn't have an answer for it. So that's one reason why I've come around to the idea of using bikes for these long walk-ins. But the other reason, of course, is that my poor feet are knackered from wearing four-season boots practically. Some really, really rigid soled boots all year round. When I started hill walking and I was walking those long walks into the Cairngorms, all those long walk-ins and long walk-outs and hard soles don't let your foot roll naturally. So I suffer now. I can walk up and down hills over this sort of stuff all day if you want me to, but as soon as I get onto a track, onto a Land Rover track or a paved road, that's it, I'm done for. So the prospect now of getting back to this bothy and getting the bike and practically rolling gently downhill all the way, which is a good 10 miles if not more. Oh, what a joy. I can't describe. I'm sold. I think I'm sold on the idea. Bike and hike. Yeah, perfect. It's the future. It's funny, even though it's been dry for the longest while, there's still a fair amount of squelching going on underneath my feet, which I think just goes to show how wet a place Scotland normally is, or at least it has been over the past couple of years. That even after having 28, 29 degrees for days on end and no rain for weeks, it's still squelching. You wouldn't think hills, grass, heather, peat, whatever, could hold as much water as it does. Anyway, practically here. Seemed to take an eternity to get up, but it only took 20-25 minutes to get down. Oh my word, I can't tell you what that's like. Oh, it feels amazing. Just while my stuff's drying, my socks, gives them a chance to dry out a bit after that walk. Oh, it's not actually as cold as it would normally be, for understandable reasons. Oh, it's just beautiful. I suppose it's not just because it's nice and cooling and refreshing that this just feels good. It's also because it's just this sense of freedom you get, I suppose. After I did the blog the other week about biking in the Lomond Hills, I had a few American people asking me whether I was allowed to climb over fences the way I was doing, and it just got me thinking about how wonderful our access legislation is in Scotland, that you can go pretty much anywhere you like as long as you respect the people who are making their living off the land. And which is why you can just roam the hills like I've been doing today. You can cycle up glens, and then you can just stop by a burn on someone's land. This is sheep farming, of course, and stick your feet in a burn. That's why it feels so sweet. It's freedom. That's what it is. And it feels wonderful. And that's where we're going, all the way back to Smar Glen. On a bike, not on feet. Bliss. Actually, just before I hop on the bike again, it's worth saying that I can feel it in my feet now just from soaking them. It always gives you another hour or two on your feet if you actually stop and soak them and just stop any inflammation they get with heat, I suppose. Just makes you able to walk a little bit longer. It's always worth doing if it's warm. Right. Off we go. Well, that's it, really. 2 minutes from the road. Don't think my bum will ever recover. Certainly not looking to go out on the bike anytime soon because I've been rattled, bone shaking all the way back. But it's 3:30, 6-hour outing, not bad. Home, plenty of time to sit out with a beer. Perfect Perthshire.